Welcome to the Splash Live, Greater West Bloomfield's only local morning show, giving you exclusive access to people, businesses, and events in your community. I'm your host, Maddie Muschin. We are live daily, weekdays, Monday through Friday at 9:30 a.m. Before we dive into today's show, every week we highlight someone, an educator, student, business, or organization from Greater West Bloomfield, going above and beyond. If you would like to submit an entry for someone, you can scan the QR code on the screen and fill out the Google form with the person's name, their contact information, and reasons that they should be recognized for the Person of the Week. Now let's go check out what's going on in our Greater West Bloomfield community. The first event that we want to look at is the United We Walk event. This was scheduled to happen this past Sunday to honor Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. It was canceled due to the rising number of COVID-19 cases in Michigan. They will instead be urging the community members to volunteer around Metro Detroit to honor the legacy of Dr. King throughout the month of January and the rest of the year. We are looking for community members to volunteer at the organizations listed on screen. There are volunteer opportunities with Focus Hope, Hospitality House, Michigan Community Service Commission, and more. If you're interested in volunteering, you can head over to www.unitedwewalk.org to learn more. The West Bloomfield Township Public Library has started the virtual programming that includes a variety of interactive events for all ages. Some of those events this week are looking at next week. Going into Monday, they have the registration opening for Library on the Go. They're doing their mitten matching. On Tuesday, January 25th, they have both their 9:30 and 11 o'clock virtual Positively Preschool events, as well as that 7 o'clock event with Amor Tolles, the author of The Lincoln Highway, looking at his books and talking with Kathy Russ from the library. On the 26th, they have their virtual Terrific Tots event at 10:30. And on the 27th, they are looking at the escalation of hate during the Holocaust at 7 p.m. If you'd like to register for any of these events, you can do so by going to the West Bloomfield Township Public Library website in their events calendar page and register for the event of your choosing. Our next event is a Sylvan Lake game night. This event is perfect if you're looking for something fun to do this winter. Whether you go alone or with friends, the Sylvan Lake game nights are a great way to socialize safely with your neighbors and friends. Sylvan Lake game nights take place every Wednesday when there is not a Sylvan Lake board meeting in the community center. Game night starts at 5:30 and will go to about 9 p.m. at the community center. This event is open to all Sylvan Lake residents. You are welcome to bring family and friends as well. If you have an event you would like us to have featured here on the Splash Live, you can send us a message on our social media pages at Civic Center TV 15 and Facebook at Civic Center TV 15. Coming up, I will be talking to Suzanne Levine, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. But before that, let's take a look at someone who has been a part of Sylvan Lake's Park and Recreation Committee for over 10 years. Their countless volunteering at parks and their leadership in the community has stood out among local residents, which is why they nominated Patrick Runk to be our Person of the Week.
This week's Person of the Week was a submission from one of our fans. They wrote in highlighting why Patrick Runk should be our Person of the Week. Patrick has successfully led Sylvan Lake's Park and Recreation Committee for over 10 years. Under his leadership, Sylvan Lake Parks and Rec has overseen numerous annual events that continue to bring the community together in festivities, activities, service to others, and more. This year, Sylvan Lake Parks and Recreations continued a partnership with the Sylvan Lake Police Department to lead a successful toy drive for Orchard Children's Services. Throughout the pandemic, the Parks and Rec team has continued to creatively carry through with their events in a safe and thoughtful manner, bringing events to the community, such as driving Santa on a golf cart through the streets, versus bringing everyone to gather around Santa. Patrick is a true volunteer servant leader, as he shows up, does the work, and takes joy in celebrating the community. He does so without requiring credit and always has a good sense of humor. Thank you for nominating Patrick Runk, and I'm sure he'll be happy to know that he is our Person of the Week.
Congratulations to Patrick Runk, and again, thank you for all he does in the Sylvan Lake Parks and Recreation community. The Sylvan Lake Community Center is the place to be on Wednesday nights this winter. We'll find out why, but before that, we will be joined by Suzanne Levine to talk about her career path and how she became involved with the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. All that and more after this short break.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
In the face of COVID-19, staying healthy is important. And now the same is true as we face the flu. Influenza has the potential to infect millions, putting lives and the healthcare system at risk. Fortunately, it's easy to protect yourself. The flu vaccine is safe and effective, and with COVID-19 still spreading, it's essential. To see how you can hit this virus head-on, visit michigan.gov/flu. Can I ask you a question? Why do you want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
I don't like getting sick.
The virus will die.
It will be easy to not catch it.
Keep my family safe and keep playing soccer.
Because I love being vaccinated.
What's your hope for everyone?
I hope everybody gets the vaccine.
To keep safe and strong.
Be like happy, having fun everywhere.
Everyone stay safe and hope you get the vaccine.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Mustin. It is now time to talk to Suzanne Levine, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, who works with the community and businesses to make sure they're connecting with chamber members and other businesses. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Suzanne.
Thank you for having me.
Suzanne, let's start off with learning a little bit about you and your journey. Can you tell us what your career path looked like before you started working in the chamber?
Well, I am the queen of reinvention. So I basically started out in radio. I was a late night talk show radio host for WRAF, baby. And it was a pretty exciting, fun job for a young person, although it was from 1 to 5 in the morning. So you can imagine it's kind of disruptive for your life a little bit, but it was a very exciting time. And then from there, I transitioned to television. And in fact, my humble roots are in cable. At the time, we were producing a show that was at Continental Cablevision, but was broadcast on PBS. It was a national teen show called Club Connect. And that was a very exciting time because as a program producer, I was in charge of just about everything, the development of the idea, writing the scripts, getting the crew together, sitting with the editor, getting music, and putting an entire show together. In fact, I won oh my God, my brain, sorry. Not only a couple of local Emmys, but I also won a national gold medal at the New York International Film Festival for that show. And then when we lost our funding at PBS, I transitioned to work for WXYZ Channel 7 for many years, doing just about everything, writing promos, doing Dream Cruise, auto show. So it was pretty exciting. And then in 2008, 2009, when the auto industry kind of crashed, we lost a lot of the money to do these special projects. So I started looking around to transition my career a little bit. And I taught college for a while, but it wasn't as satisfying as I thought it would be. And on a whim, I saw a job opening for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. And not even understanding what a Chamber of Commerce does, but did a lot of research and somehow was able to convince them that I could do the job. And here I am today.
Suzanne, you talked a lot about being in radio and cable and TV production. How do you think these past experiences have helped you in preparation for your current role?
Well, as a TV producer, as some people may know, you're in charge of putting everything together. So you have to be able to connect the dots and be resourceful. In fact, one of the stories I often tell is my first gig, my live gig. It was Smokers versus Non-Smokers. This was airing on PBS for a show called Speak Out. And the woman that was my smoking advocate said, call me an hour before the show to remind me I work right around the corner. So I called her and they said, oh, Sharon, she won't be there. She died of a heart attack. And there's nothing in college that tells you what to do when your guest dies before show 101. So suddenly I'm making phone calls, trying to get another guest, and the audience, it was a live audience, is pouring in. And it just turns out that one of my camera guys was probably the most obnoxious smoker on the planet. And so he was my guest. I ran camera. And actually, it was a very successful show because he was, such a pro-smoking advocate, was blowing smoke into the audience faces. Excuse me. So, see the smoke alone, just talking about it. And it was a great show.
Suzanne.
So it's that kind of thing, connecting the dots.
Suzanne, looking back at your time with the radio stations and PBS, do you have a fond memory, one of your favorite memories, either an exciting show or something that was the most impactful to work on there?
I think what was so impactful was some of the stories that we told, and knowing that maybe we made a difference in someone's life, a story that you told. We did something on this homeless person that was given a second chance, and how he became so successful because people believed in him and helped him. So there were those kind of stories. Most of my stories are things that crashed. And then on the spot, I had to kind of, think on my feet and save them. One of my stories is at the time we were doing the auto show at the fire station. It was a live show, and you should never really believe people back in the newsroom when they tell you something is set up. But, we were there, and it was Mayor Kilpatrick was supposed to do a bar scene with Darren McCarthy, and that's how we were opening the show. And here it is, 5 to 8, no mayor. 3 to 8, no mayor. Finally, he walks in with his entourage, and his PR person said, "Nah, I don't think he's going to do it." And I hear them laughing in the headset, in the newsroom, because they knew no one had set this up. And it just turns out that someone I had helped during the auto show said, "I'm really good friends with the mayor," and he set it up, and the show went live at 8 o'clock. So it's always those kind of, you have to think on your feet. And I think these are just great skill sets that have helped me in my career at the chamber, trying to figure out how to connect people, how if things go wrong, you have to have a plan B, C, and D. And I think, especially during the pandemic, it has served me particularly well, because we know that you can make plans all you want, but we know that kind of life in the pandemic is going to change that on a dime.
Suzanne, as we wrap up, is there anything else that you wanted to share with us, especially headed into 2022? As the executive director for the West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce, we touched a little bit on your past career, but for this year, is there anything that you wanted to share with us for the audience here on the Splash Live?
I think my career sort of is a template for other people, that, you need to really be able to be adaptive and reinvent and kind of think, I hate that word, outside the box, but you have to kind of, make sure that whatever you're thinking, there is some sort of plan B or C or D, and never be afraid to try something new, because it could be the thing that sparks not only your imagination, but gets you, the business that you want.
Well, Suzanne, it's always a pleasure having you on Friday mornings. Thank you so much for taking the time.
And thank you so much again, Maddie. You know, as being a talk show host, how sometimes things crash at the last minute, and you just have to adapt and move on.
Thank you, Suzanne.
Thank you.
Once again, I was joined by Suzanne Levine, Executive Director for the Greater West Bloomfield Chamber of Commerce. Coming up, we'll be talking with Jackie Evola, West Bloomfield High School DECA Advisor. But before that, if you're looking for friendly competition, safe socialization, or someone to beat at Parcheesi, I sat down with Sylvan Lake residents and learned how to play mahjong, bridge, euchre, and more at the weekly Sylvan Game Night. If you're looking for a fun winter activity, join your fellow Sylvan Lake residents for some mahjong and other fun games. Started by a few friends, the Wednesday night game nights expanded into the community center. We talked to one of the members, Feather Buchanan, about the game nights.
We started playing several years ago, and we've been collecting people along the way. I am one of those people. I basically have just started playing in the last several months Mahjong, and it happened that a neighbor said to me, "Join us." And I went, I don't know about Mahjong. She said, no, come. And I did. And so did a lot of other people. We were playing at each other's houses, which was fine during the summer because we could be outside and, there'd be plenty of room. As we got closer to the fall and winter, we thought, what are we going to do here? We need to expand this. And we spoke with and the council at Sylvan Lake and John Martin, and they agreed that we could use the community center, which is absolutely fabulous. So we started right away in November. We play Wednesday nights, 5:30 to 9. We're in the big room, so there's plenty of room for lots of people to come, and also distancing if everyone has a worry about that. And the girls, our group is just keep growing and growing and growing. So we're very, very excited about it. We have also put game night, which is cards, board games, any kind of game anyone wants to play. And as far as friends that have played, this game night is very social. Everybody is just very excited about just getting together. We've been away from each other for so long, and this is just another opportunity to get the community back out and social and in a safe environment.
If you're a beginner at Mahjong, have never played before, or want to bring a different game, head on down to the Sylvan Lake Community Center on Wednesdays to socialize with your Sylvan Lake friends during game night. Reporting for the Splash Live, I'm Maddie Mustian. Thank you to Feather Buchanan and the rest of the Sylvan Lake Game Night members for letting me join and take a hand at Mahjong. Coming up, we'll be talking with Jackie Evola, DECA Advisor at West Bloomfield High School, to tell us a little bit about how DECA prepares emerging leaders and entrepreneurs at the high school. But we're going to take a short break first.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Or your daughter's first costume party? It was out of this world. The same way you plan each detail for those moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
And now, back to the Splash Live.
Welcome back to the Splash Live. I'm your host, Maddie Mustian. Before we talk with Jackie, we're going to put up our QR code for the Person of the Week. Again, if you have someone in your community that you think deserves to be nominated here on the Splash Live for the Person of the Week, whether they are educators, students, local businesses, or any other organization that you think deserves to be recognized here on the Splash Live, you can do so by scanning the QR code. Fill out the short Google form with the person's name, reason they should be recognized for the Person of the Week, and some contact information for them. We're going to take a short break now, but we're going to talk with Jackie Evola from DECA. She is the DECA Advisor at West Bloomfield High School to talk with us about their program and how they're preparing for their state conference in March.
We'll be right back with The Splash Live.
This message brought to you by FEMA. Home fires occur most often in winter. Keep anything that can catch fire at least 3 feet from heating equipment. And never use an oven to heat your home. Stay in the kitchen when frying, grilling, or broiling food. Turn space heaters off when you leave the room or go to bed. Make sure all vents are clear of snow and ice to allow carbon monoxide to vent outside. Have your furnace, heating system, and chimneys serviced each year by a qualified professional. Learn more at www.usfa.fema.gov.
Teens a day die from texting and driving. Don't text and drive.
And now, back to The Splash Live.
Welcome back to The Splash Live. I'm Maddie Mustin. We are now joined by Jackie Evola. She is the DECA Advisor at West Bloomfield High School. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Jackie.
Hi.
Jackie, you are starting your 6th year serving as a DECA Advisor. Can you give us some insight into what your role as the advisor looks like?
Yes, in the beginning of the year, we try really hard to promote students. Any business student at West Bloomfield High School, so that involves marketing classes, entrepreneurship classes, accounting classes, AP macro and microeconomics. All of those classes, students can join DECA, and we embed the program inside of our classroom curriculum.
Jackie, can you give us a little bit of insight into how you got involved with DECA and how you involve your students' work all year to prepare for the State Career Development Conference in March?
Yeah, we have a combination of students that do role plays, which is stand and deliver and solve a problem within 10 minutes, and they have to present their solutions to a judge. And those students actually go through a district conference, so regional conference, and they then advance to states. Any people or any students that we have writing 20-page papers, those students go directly to states. And they team up with businesses and try to write a plan of improvement. And there's a different topic every year. The topic this year was how do businesses survive and keep their employees during the pandemic? How did they keep them motivated? How did they keep them safe, et cetera? And where do businesses go from here, especially with this labor shortage?
Jackie, those topics obviously very applicable to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Do you see that these students are more apt to prepare for these types of topics and are really ingrained into their DECA preparation as they go into districts, as they prepare for the state conference with those really current issues of the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic and work labor?
We do research with the students, and it depends on if they're teaming with a restaurant or if they're teaming with maybe a financial institution. So we try to adjust to the business that they're teaming with. And most importantly, they do primary data. They always do surveys of the current employees. And we try to develop those surveys so that they can come up with some solid recommendations for the business in the end.
With this preparation going into the districts in the state conference, what types of skills, Jackie, do you work specifically with students to make sure that they can succeed in these different types of conferences throughout the year?
Well, it's not just obviously the paper writing is important, but it's making the paper appealing. So in embedding Canvas, embedding different types of ways to display information rather than just a text base. So a lot of it is technical writing and displaying that technical writing. And then when they get into their presentation phase, we want to make sure that the presentation tries to include the judges a little bit so that it's interactive, and that there's also that technology piece, whether it's a video, whether it's an application that the kids have created. So somehow some technology, and that tries to, those added items will hopefully beat out their competition.
With those presentations that the students give to the judges, do you give them any specific advice when you are looking at public speaking or those technological problems that they might have when they go up against the judges?
Yeah, I mean, most of all, we try to get our students to be relaxed and look like they're having fun. So from the get-go, we try to have the students team with a business that they're interested in, and a lot of times it might even be the business that they're working at. And so I just feel like it's really important that that the kids have fun, they smile, they have a passionate take to it. Without just regurgitating information. So that's what we really try to coach them on, ways that inside the presentation, they can maybe tell a personal story, they can relate it to what's happening currently in the economy or in the industry. So to set themselves apart, we really want them to try to have fun and be relatable.
As we wrap up, Jackie, is there anything else that you wanted to share about the students that you work with or your position as the DECA Advisor there at West Bloomfield High School?
Well, really, as in any high school, in any DECA program, we've had a real challenge the last couple of years, and I just want to say how proud I am of our students and the other women that that's on our team. We have 4 teachers here on our team, and we work really hard to make sure that the kids have this experience, because it's a stand and deliver to actual business people, and they just don't get that opportunity. And I just want to say how proud I am of the 54 kids that we took to regionals this year, and more than half of them made it to the state conference. And so doing this, in this pandemic last year and this year, I really appreciate the kids, going the extra mile and participating.
Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your morning and joining us this morning, Jackie.
Thank you.
Once again, I was joined by DECA Advisor at West Bloomfield High School, Jackie Evola. That's going to do it for today's show. Thank you again to Suzanne Levine and Jackie Evola for joining us this morning. A special thanks to our Zoom producer, Jared Clark, for coordinating the Zoom and making sure our guests joined us. As always, thank you to Calvin Brown, our board operator, for making the show possible each and every morning. And thank you for joining me as we explored all the people and events going on in the greater West Bloomfield community. As always, you can make sure to tune in live on Civic Center TV on Comcast Channel 15 and AT&T Channel 99, Monday through Friday, 9:30 to 10 a.m. to catch up on what's going on in our greater West Bloomfield community. You can also check out any stories or archive interviews on civiccentertv.com. For all of our friends in Sylvan Lake, Orchard Lake, Kiko Harbor, and West Bloomfield, I'm Maddie Muschin. Thank you for watching The Splash Live.